So good evening everyone. Thank you delegates and panelists for joining this session before time. My name is Prasad Nair, editor of Ace Update magazine, and I welcome you all to the online interaction on waterproofing in high-rises, challenges and solutions. High-rises are a norm in the Indian urban landscape. Like any other building, these vertical giants too need timely maintenance to ensure that they remain in good shape. One of the key concern areas in high-rises, like any other building, is waterproofing. Waterproofing ensures that the building remains safe from water-induced damage, usually caused by rain, moisture, and leaks. What makes waterproofing challenging in these high-rises is its height. However, there are short ways to address these issues as well. Water damage can result in various serious issues to a building's structure and appearance. When exposed to water, foundation cracks or joints may lead to bigger structural problems. This includes leakage, spalling, and deterioration, not to mention growth of mold spores. All things considered, it is equally important to realize that the new age high-rises also have access to new age waterproofing solutions to address the challenges which have come to the forefront. Keeping this agenda in mind, ACE Update magazine, we are conducting an online interaction on waterproofing in high-rises, challenges and solutions. Now, I would like to invite my colleague Ms. Sneha here to introduce the panelists and initiate these individual submissions.
Ladies and gentlemen, the distinguished speakers for today's interaction on waterproofing in high-rises, challenges and solutions are Deepak Mehta, Principal Architect, Deepak Mehta Architects, Yogesh Patil, Lead Structural Engineer, Adani Airports Holdings, and Gautam Unni, Vice President, Pidilite Large Users Business. So delegates, get ready to witness an engaging session on waterproofing in high-rises, challenges and solutions.
Thank you, Sneha. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Now I would like to invite our guest speakers for the panel discussion on waterproofing in high-rises. My first question is it was a wonderful presentation from all our speakers, and Mr. Gautam, one of the queries which I have for you is especially in the metros, in Mumbai city, for example, now a lot of old buildings are getting redeveloped into high-rises and some into super high-rises. So, keeping in view of this vertical expansion, or rather the super expansion, how is the waterproofing industry also, responded in terms of innovative products offerings?
No, absolutely. I think not just Mumbai. I think Mumbai has got Mumbai can be a benchmark in terms of the more difficult site conditions that we get when it comes to vertical buildings and so on because of the water table, the rain, etc. So if I look at the industry if I look at the different surfaces, basements become critical. That's because every other surface you can do some or the other repair, but basements or substructures very difficult to repair. You can rip open your roof. The entire roof build up, redo the waterproofing and so on. You can rip open your podium and redo. It's still feasible, but basements is very difficult. So basements, what has evolved is from the old Shaba to the bitumen based membranes to now HDP based pressure sensitive based adhesive membranes which made the work a lot more easier to now possibly going into self-healing type of membranes. That's a direction that we are looking at innovations where we solve for basement problems. We are also looking at possibly there could be some kind of a liquid applied solutions also that could come in which can solve for the problems here. The other situation that we also get in the basements is that you have a space which is very narrow. The walls are cut to cut. Often you have shore piles, and so when you do the retaining walls of the basement, then connecting back to the podium, this is not a very good, effective way to ensure that your retaining walls are fully tanked. And so we are also going to introduce some very good injection systems which can plug any potential issues during the course of its life. So there are some things like that, and then when it comes to the rest of the surfaces, I think in the last 3 or 4 years, one of the trend or one of the adoptions which has strongly happened is moving towards from the cementitious coatings towards more polyurethane, hybrid polyurea based coatings. So these are very advanced materials, very tough materials. We've seen very strong adoption of these because the need was also, very, very strongly expressed by many of our customers. And we see the industry adopting this well, and results are also quite very encouraging in terms of their performance. So, and then when it comes to wet areas, for example, traditionally a lot of two-component cementitious materials were used. Now, there's also a trend to start where one-component rubber-based materials are going to, getting into the market. These are again more, elastic, more flexible materials, more tougher materials, which can withstand or they can effectively seal cracks much better. So there are different innovations which are happening within the material space. As far as practitioners are concerned, I think there's still a long way for the industry itself, for the manufacturing fraternity to upgrade the skills of application partners or application community. So that's an area which needs a lot of focus.
I think that's an important observation you have made, Mr. Gautam. And now my next question is, Mr. Yogesh, we just saw on the presentations of the speakers, and Mr. Deepak Mehta, being an architect himself, he also confirmed that he himself had been a victim of the waterproofing issues. So now is the psychology changing? Is spending on waterproofing, is it an expense or investment? How should we possibly start doing it?
Yeah, so being from a client side, I can see a transition because it all came from the customer's complaint. So when I was in my last profile here in the customer complaint, and our net promoter scores got down. So then management started thinking what is happening, and they did the root cause analysis. It's a long way to go, but I can foresee it's happening, definitely happening. Within maybe a couple of years, it will be. So when I put it, the SOPs, the good product, the good methodology, the good applicators, then it came to the budget as all you do. So then management say, yaar, itna to budget nahi afford kar sakte. Then we explain to them, if you want to improve the quality, if you want to have a NPS good, then we need to spend the money. But as rightly said, spending money at right time, at first time, it's always good to avoid any rectification. Is always the cost effective. It will not be costly. It will a huge cost. I am having 3 flats, all terrace flats, all are leaking. So finally, we have to do a lot of things in my society. So definitely, clients are also now, it's all happening due to customer complaints. It's definitely changing, but yes, way to go ahead.
What happens is when it comes to, if you have to treat waterproofing issues, it is essential. Let's say there are so many stakeholders in building a high rise. There's a structural engineer, then we have civil engineers, we have the architect, of course. So do we have a great deal of awareness about the efficient solutions that are offered? Because what happens, there was a time when we had ground plus 2, ground plus 3, ground plus 4. Now it is no more the case. Now we have sky rises. You used to look around the city, you can see magnificent sky rises. So from that point in time to now, are professionals aware of the different solutions that are available to tackle the challenges?
Definitely, everybody is right now aware. The problem is every civil engineer or site engineer who knows little bit about waterproofing thinks that he knows everything. So the perspective should change. After learning for 1 or 2 years also deep down into the waterproofing, I know I hardly know 5%. It's not only one subject. Product itself, it's like chemistry. So the chemist knows the product. And apart from it, it's a detailing, as said by Mehta sir. So we should, at the first time only, we should plan accordingly. How your drain points will be, how the AC unit will be placed, how the drainage will be done. Should be, those kind of things should be thought of on the paper from day one only. Then it comes to the detailing, then it comes to the execution, then it comes to the product. Yes, awareness is definitely there, but still we are a long way to go.
Mr. Gautam, would you like to add something to it? You are from the product end, so would you say, like as a vendor, do you see a good deal of awareness?
So I see definitely the awareness is there. I don't say that awareness is not there, and the intent is there. I think it boils down to how the designs happen for each surface and how well it's a collaborated effort while designing a particular system. And it's not just, as I said, it's not just about choice of a type of material as a main material to be used, a membrane, a physical membrane or a liquid membrane, etc. But all the elements of, of possible risks that you have for leakages, and how do you address that at the design stage and take that in the method statement. A lot of times what also happens is what we see is when the jobs are tendered and when the BOQs come in, they sometimes tend to be ambiguous or do not adequately capture every element. So this usually is used to that, if it's a civil contractor, he will use it to the advantage and see where all, just to comply, he will put something, but to save costs, etc. So then in the process, something or the other gets missed, and that becomes a source of pain for everybody.
So great deal of clarity is needed to begin with. So
I will add it to that. The client and the PMCs, they should be aware of everything. So nothing is missed. So the methodologies, everything should be dropped down. Detailing. So the client and the PMCs are, I will say, responsible for all this.
Basically, everybody needs to be on the same page so that there are no problems moving forward, right?
Yes, and this conversation should happen, upfront at the design. That saves a lot of hassles later on.
Great. I think that is the right approach, and that should be taken note of. Deepak sir, you have executed projects in India as also Dubai. Now, there's something that comes to my mind is like, especially now in metros, we have something called as the waterfront or the seafront properties. And in Dubai, they have built artificial islands, and on top of which they have created high-rises and super high-rises. So in such situations, what are the additional challenges which come to the fore when it comes to waterproofing, and how can they be taken care of?
Yeah, see, I'll tell you, I've been putting up everywhere, not in this platform, but everywhere. If at the design stage itself, it is taken care of, everything. Like in my Dubai building, which I completed around 7-8 years back, just last month I was there. I can see the building finish-wise, no other thing. As it is done now, I can say now is like yesterday it is completed. That type of, because everything is regulated by the government. You can't do anything rubbish like what we do here. Let me be very frank and open in this matter. That hota hai, chalta hai, and thukamta kind of a concept is happening in India. I'm sorry for this language, but this is the way people look upon it. It is not accepted there. Everything, workmanship, you must be knowing it. Everyone, even the building, if the flower bed is kept over there, and that flower bed, regular building, I'm telling you, not about the new building. The seepage is coming from outside, the landlord is penalized. If the paint is worn off, it is penalized. Everything is regulated by a regulatory body. But here, kuch bhi nahi hai. You call an interior designer, he breaks upon your external wall, he increases the window right to the bottom and says, sir, this is my fantastic out of the way kind of a French window I'm giving you to give. That is not allowed anywhere except what I see over here. So the regulation is very important. Also the self-disciplinary actions by each one of users and everyone is also very important. And I tell you, so right from the beginning, if small things have been taken care of in a team, I'm not saying by an architect, in a team, by MEP consultants, even by the waterproofing people, even by the chemical suppliers, or even the vendors. Okay, sir, this is my plan. Aapko iske andar any problem you think can come up later on, tell us. We will rectify the drawing, the detail, the construction, everything at this stage. So we try to avoid the maximum. Even today, sir, the materials are used are in, I don't want to say anything about it, but it's very, very bad stage. So if we control on the materials, we have some kind of regulation into that. Of course, the problem arises, what has arisen now is only due to our own faults and not by any other construction technology. If we use simple NBCC bylaws to do the construction and technical, you don't see any kind of problem arising out. But one thing is there, my dear friends of Pidilite, then you will lose a business if we do it a perfect job, right?
No, absolutely. I think there's room for everybody. Even if you do perfectly, there are several things.
Yeah.
But just giving you an example, sir. We also have, I don't want to again take the name of the project. One of the most prestigious. You have a membrane laid, and then there is a Hydra which is going on it, a boom placer which is placed on it. It gets punctured. So these are usually the most biggest problems or challenges.
This membrane thing, let me tell you, it was not existing some few years back. Suddenly, a decade back, people started putting the membranes. And today I have seen the water leaking, seeping out from the membrane down below or sideways. The membrane is, cracked off inside of the sunk of that 6-inch or 9-inch. So yeah. I don't know what is happening in India or maybe abroad. If I can't understand the way the waterproofing has to be taken care. Today the biggest business is not of a builder, of a developer earning, but is a waterproofing agencies and vendors. I tell you, they are so busy. You can tell them. Okay. Because it is all because of our own fault, we have not been, why it was, same thing I told you before, why it was not happened some 15-20 years back. Have you seen a simple 100-year-old building leaking? No, it was not leaking. The construction was fantastically done. The external wall was very nicely, materials used and very nicely done. Anyway, no need of commenting on that, but we need to have a teamwork right at the beginning to try to control, so that further we cannot avoid all these problems.
I think, discipline is needed to a great degree, so to see to it that half of the problems are taken care of. And as rightly pointed out by Mr. Deepak, there's a lack of will towards following the guidelines. And eventually we expect this will change as we progress and things will, improve for the better. Mr. Gautam, there is a question I think which is meant for you. Mr. Ashwin Bengali wants to know, after doing one waterproofing painting on the seepage walls again, after 2 months, bulging on the wall painting and paint cracks are visible. Please share the cause and solution.
So I think it'll be difficult to comment basis just this information, but there could be many possible reasons for this, depending on which side of the wall. A lot of times, even we see, the plastering definitely cracks. Because the plasters also should not be stronger than the block walls blocks that are used, there's a tendency to crack. That could be possibly one. I don't know whether any lines are running behind that and whether any sealing aspects were taken care of. Usually, there is when it comes to this is most likely from somewhere from inside. If there's a bulge, I'm presuming there are bubbles or things like that which are coming from inside. So it's not from the external side. So you can send me, text me something with some photographs, which I can give you some solution for this.
Yeah. Would you like to make a mention of any particular product name right away, or would you like to look at the details? Any product would you like to recommend?
No, so it needs this needs a repair. So there are several methods to do it.
Okay.
Normally, the repair products are slightly different than when you do first time. For example, when you do first time, there are in Pidilite range, there is some coatings called raincoat. There are several types of raincoats, which are elastomeric acrylic emulsions, which have a lot more flexibility. They withstand rain lashes. They are much more long-lasting. Those are done. But when it comes to repair, there are several combination of products which are usually used to fix such problems. Yeah.
Okay. And Mr. Ashwin Bengali, I hope you are happy with the answer, and you can send in the more details and get in touch with Mr. Gautam. Now, my next question is directed at Mr. Yogesh and Mr. Deepak, both of you. Sir, the external areas in a high-rise are difficult to reach. So when it comes to external waterproofing, what additional support is desired to ensure that external waterproofing can be done efficiently?
See, like what happened, external wall, like in Mumbai is a different context. If you go into other cities, there you don't see much of the seepages or everything on the wall. So like we were doing Hirandani's project, many we have done in Thane. Always we used to take double wall. Now that double wall concept, double wall is not breaking from inside and using it external non-FS area. No, it is only a skin wall with a cavity in between. In case the water is splashed outside, it goes down onto the cavity and flows. It doesn't. It protects the main wall, of the habitable areas. So that is one way. But now it is not allowed. So now, if it is a dead wall, we have to have some break kind of chajjas or cornices or molding where the water is not directly splashed on the dead wall. Then the material, then the sand, a river clean sand, then the joints between, as I've been telling you, the brick wall or the concrete block wall and the beam, that is very, very important because due to weather, the cracks appear from that at a later stage. Then on top of it, the plaster, the quality of the plaster, the sand used into that and everything counts. On top of it is a paint. Like, for Bombay, we cannot use to save the cost like cement-based paint. We have to use something of a texture-based paint, So texture is a chemical coated and is like a plaster itself, So that is the way we should, look at. So if all these precautions are taken into an external facade and walls, on the dead wall I'm talking, on the wall only I'm talking, not at any joinery, not at any joint between aluminum windows and the wall, or nowadays the grill has been installed, the safety grills. Builders don't put it. Later on, the users put it. And when the grill has been punctured from there, the water is seepage inside. So a lot of things, has to be taken care of. So if these precautions are taken in the Bombay context or in the Mumbai or where the heavy rainfall is there, then most of our problems are solved with this facades. I think so.
Yeah.
I just would like to add one or two things. One other area is shafts. While constructing shafts, a lot of times problems, those are ignored areas. A lot of installations, inserts, everything come there and most vulnerable areas, and that's mostly ignored. And nobody, even the engineers don't usually go and inspect them very well at many times. So those are some areas. Then in terms of sequencing any waterproofing for high rises for the facades, on the facade side, this again has to be synchronized with the whole plastering painting sequence. Then you have whatever scaffold that is being used, because once the scaffold is removed, then access becomes difficult. So you can't do it. You'll have to synchronize a lot of activities. If you have to do something like plugging, for example, the foam finished Maivan walls, you'll have to plug a lot of tight out holes. You'll have to do a lot of joint treatments. These all have to be synchronized with the plastering. Only then they can be addressed.
I think, as rightly pointed out, there are a number of things which need to be taken a note of. So to see to it that the end result is what is desired by the client, as also the occupant of the home.
Yeah, I will add it to that. In shaft, I will say it's all about sequence. The sequence should be followed. There will be some window guy will be coming, then there will be some plumbing guy will be coming. So there is no sequence. The failure happens in shaft, it's actually due to only sequence. And if you see exterior part for high rise, definitely there will be concrete walls. And the concrete wall has to be with self-compacting concrete. So that will reduce your segregation problem or honeycomb problem. And secondly, then it will come to concrete face to the windows. The joint between concrete and windows has to be with a proper sealant, like a PU sealant or something very good quality sealant, and it has to maintain. Maybe the sealant has a lifespan maybe of 10 years. So after 10 years, you need to address it, you need to redo it. So those kind of things should be taken care for the high-rise buildings.
That's quite right. There's another question from Mr. Hemant Chauhan, and Deepak sir, he wants to know would texture slow down trickle of water from the vertical surface?
Yeah, 100%. It is proved, because texture paint or texture finish, nowadays we call it texture. In my initial, when it was newly come around 25 years back, we used to say as an plaster itself, because it becomes an additional coat with chemicals and everything on top of the plaster. So now it has been used as a paint finish, but it is actually very, very good. In my early days when I was with Office Contractor, we have done that Tapestry Road building. What is that? That the whole building was cladded with bristled tiles, small tiles. That is actually efficiently done up, Om Chambers at Camps Corner. So there, of course, it is for very good finish. It's a lifelong, it's a permanent thing. So if it is a very, very high rise, we should always look about the permanent finish. Lot of materials have now come up in permanent finish. So that will take care of it. If it is not affordable, yes, this texture paint or whatever the texture we call it, it supports and it really protects, the internal plaster which is over there. Yeah, it does.
Mr. Hemant, I hope you got the answer to your query. We would have loved to carry on, but we are running short of time. So I would now kindly request Mr. Yogesh Patil to give a closing statement.
Hi everyone. As I said earlier, the awareness is increasing, but as a civil engineer, as an industry, construction industries, architect, everybody, MEP engineers, site engineers, everybody has to take ownership of this waterproofing. And of course, awareness has to increase. Everybody should study all the waterproofing, methodologies or product information. And I'm hopeful that within few years it will get more improved. I can see 10 years back it was not that, but I can say it's organized or there was not that much awareness. But I can see last 3-4 years it's a lot of awareness is increasing. And I'm hopeful it will go on and we will solve all the seepage issues.
Thank you, panelists, for exchanging your valuable thoughts on today's topic, waterproofing in high-rises, challenges and solutions. We hope that you've enjoyed it. And before wrapping up today's session, we would like to thank our distinguished panelists, Mr. Deepak Mehta, Mr. Yogesh Patil, and Mr. Gautam. For viewers who have joined us today, we would like to have your feedback and encourage you to stay connected with us via our social media handles. ACE Update is available on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Additionally, you can also download our app from Google Play and App Store. We request our viewers to stay tuned for future interactions as well. With that, today's interaction has now come to a close. Thank you and goodbye.